In this lesson we're gonna learn how to spawn randomly our keys and a way to collect them by moving, as we saw before. So we're gonna go through our script and how to customize our spawning and set up the game and check our remote. Here we are for another episode of this space shooter game. In the previous lesson we saw how we can spawn, how we can add our keys, our elements inside our scene. Later on we're gonna change these sprites because right now it's a key, we use it as a placeholder. We're gonna add something that make more sense, maybe like some fuel cell or coins. We're gonna see later. Now in this episode we're gonna create a spawner that will spawn our element randomly across the screen. To do that we have already our key scene that we prepared before, and we're gonna call in our main scene. We're gonna rename this node now to world. This is where our 2D world exists. Now we're gonna delete these three elements over here and we add a new node 2D. We call it spawner, and we're gonna attach a script to our spawner. So let's change the location. We add scripts, spawner, create our script, and now we have the script that we can manage to how to spawn elements in the scene. An important consideration, we can add a new node in our spawner. It's a timer node. So this is a very powerful node. It's like a stopwatch. Every time this timer trigger, it sends a signal that we saw before in our key, our signals. Let's see the signals over here. We have a timeout signal. So every time the timer reaches 0, the timeout signal will trigger and something will happen. So we're gonna see the properties. We have our wait time, process callback. This one we don't care right now. And we have this three bool on and off. We're gonna look in that in one shot and auto start. So auto start, it's as soon as you push play, this timer enters the scene and automatically start. You don't need to write a code like start the timer over here. And one shot instead is the timer is gonna run only for one time and it's gonna stop. You need to restart the timer. In this case we want that when the timer go out, the timer start again and spawn another element in another random location across our screen over here. So let's keep auto start on. We add 1.5 seconds as a timer. This is how long we need to wait. And now we're going to create in our spawner. Let's see. We create a new variable. We export a variable and we call it collectible, and we can specify, now this is a new type we didn't see yet, we can specify as a packed scene. A packed scene is a scene that contain nodes. This is a packed scene, this is a packed scene, all of these one are packed scene. We can specify the path to our packed scene if we want. We can load, but I don't want to use this command over here right now. I just want to show you that you can what did I do? I closed down everything. I want to show you how we can just drag and drop the collectible straight into our collectible variable, and we have it over here. We have our PackedScene already in memory, ready to be used. The next thing is we want to connect the timer that we create to our spawner. So we go over here, we saw it already, we click on timeout, and now instead of create on timeout on itself, we're gonna connect, as you can see, we can connect to these nodes. We're gonna connect to the spawner. So every time the timer reaches 0, the spawner is gonna do something. The signal is very powerful. It allows you to decouple and don't create dependencies between nodes. So again, we don't want to pass any element, we're not gonna touch this one. We can connect, and in our spawner we're gonna have already a function with the signal connect, as we saw as well in the other lesson. Now, what do we want to do when the timer is reached 0? We want to create a new scene. To create a new scene, we need to add a variable, and we call it let's say right now key, and we just need to declare our collectible, and we're gonna instantiate. So the instantiation, if we see over here, what is it? Instantiate the scenes node hierarchy, trigger child scene instantiation. So it's gonna create for us this scene over here, because right now you just keep a reference where the scene is. In this way you're gonna create it, and we need to now, once we create it, we need to add it to the tree. So now we want to understand how to spawn this collectible in a random location. We saw already this function with this method. We need to get the screen size because we want to know which one our boundaries, and if you want a challenge, try now. Just stop the screen and try. It's the same as we saw in player. If we do get viewport rect and we get the sides, we have our screen boundaries. So we want to instantiate somewhere between x, minus x and x, and minus y and y. We want to give some space because, as we saw with the player before, it's gonna create some problem that is gonna be like half. We want to give some space. We can add now a threshold. So now that we have this scene, the scene key is already in memory. It's not ready yet. If I for example create here a print statement and I add timer trigger the method, if I now run my scene, after 1 second we have the timer triggered the method, but nothing is happening because the scene is just in memory. It's in our memories and it's not in our, if we check a remote, it's not in our scene tree. So in order to create this one, before adding in the scene tree, we can modify however we want this scene. So we can do, for example, key dot position dot x is equal to, now this method, it's a run function. You have a run f and you can use a range. It asks you from which, so we know that we start from 0 and we go up to the sides x of the rectangle, but we want to have some space on the left and on the right. We can just write 50, so we give a space of plus 50 on the x, and the other element is our screen size dot x minus 50. So now we know that it is gonna be between something over here and somewhere over here, because we're gonna give a threshold. We're gonna do the same for the y-axis. If you want to give it a go, stop the video and try it by yourself. So here we are, yes, key, that position, that y is equal to run f range, and the same 50 screen size dot y minus 50. Now that we created, if we're gonna check our print statement and we try to print key dot position, we can delete the trigger method statement. Actually, we're gonna comment out, so if you copy the script, you're gonna have it in your, and so now if we print, we see that every time it's a random number appearing over here, but still the node is not in our scene tree. So the last thing that I want to show you is how to add a node to the scene tree. To add a node, we have this beautiful function called add child. So every node is a child of something. A timer is a child of spawner, which is a child of word. If we have more nodes, we can call them children. There are methods that request the keyword children. So we add the child and we add our key. So now that we know about it, if I'm gonna run the game, we can see how a key appears suddenly. I can move around, collect the key, they disappear. This is the importance of the Q3. You remember we added the Q3 when the player collect the element, because when we go in our remote, this memory is gonna get saturated with new keys, and it can slow down your performance of the game. So I collect them, as you see, they're gonna disappear. Now let's say we want to make the game a little bit difficult. This one is gonna be your challenge. I'm gonna show you in the next video how to do it. Your challenge is to add a timer to another timer. This one we can call it actually spawning time. Why didn't change spawning timer? So we added the spawning timer. I wanted to add now in your key, I give you the int, in your key I wanted to add the timer, and you connect the timer to your key, and here is gonna be as there. When you connect, you're gonna be on timer out. I wanted you clear out your node, so it's gonna disappear. I wanted to add the variable for manage the timer, and after a 30 seconds it's gonna remove the key from our tree. We saw everything already, you don't need to look for it. It's something that we did in the other tutorials. In these tutorials, it's gonna be a nice challenge, I think, if you're new. And now I want to do the last consideration. We saw this number over here. We call it, usually in coding we call it magic numbers. We don't want to keep magic numbers because it's very dangerous, it's very annoying. If you want to change the value, you need to hard code it. This is hard code. When you write these things, is hard coded. We want to be able to manage this numbering somehow. Now let's have a small challenge. Try to export a variable of type int and add a value over there on your inspector parameters, and swap the variable for with this 50 value. So here we are. It's an export variable, let's say threshold, it's written like that, I don't remember. Threshold, we call it int, spawning threshold maybe, spawning size threshold, and we add 50 over here. So now we can swap this with our spawning size threshold. Spawning size threshold here, and spawning size threshold, and the last one is over here, spawning size threshold. If we're gonna run the game in our main scene, we can notice how the game still works fine. If I try to, in our spawner, let's go here, our local, in our spawner, we increase the threshold, oops, to 100. Here gonna be even closer to the player. If we add 500, probably we're gonna be just very narrow to the player. And if we add 10, we're gonna extend again. You see it's going out of the boundary. So we can try with 20. It seems to work just fine. And that's pretty much is for today's lesson. Try to give it a go on how to delete the key after a thought seconds, so to make the game a little bit more difficult for the player to collect these elements. In the next lesson we're gonna see how to do it, and we're gonna see how to create an enemy that will chase you around the game as soon if you get too close to it. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoy my video, just don't forget to like it at least, or following me, because I will try to release as many videos that I can.